Hello. Now, there is a story in Neville Goddard's book, The Law and the Promise, on different stories, like success stories. And there's this one story, it's super popular, everyone tells it, where this woman, she was like 55 and she had just either like been made redundant from her job or lost her job or something like that. And she was pretty much broke. She didn't have a car. She didn't have, like, to be able to drive to jobs. She didn't have clothes to be able, like, nice clothes to dress for jobs. I think this must have been back in the 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, old time. And she was, yeah, she didn't have like family or anyone to go to lean on. She was literally like on her last legs with money, right? Financially, she was struggling. And she'd been going to Neville's lectures for like about a year. And then she said she got to a point where she was like, I have to do this. Like, I'm desperate. I have to actually start seeing things differently. And at first she was trying to imagine like all the different things she needed, right? Because we with the things that we want, sometimes there's a lot of moving parts. And I found personally, when I get too caught up in like thinking about all the details, it overwhelms me and I get really stressed out. And she was getting stressed out trying to imagine all the different things, because she found that when she was going to bed at night and she was like going through her different scenes and seeing herself having them, by the time it came to going to sleep, she was really anxious and stressed, which I would be too, because it's so many things to think about. And it kind of defeats the point, because now you're like getting too caught up in the details of like what you want, and then you start naturally worrying about how it's going to happen. And so you're naturally moving into lack, because there's so many things you're focusing on that you don't have. And your brain is like, but how are we going to get the ball, that you're staying in the old state? So she was like, this isn't working. I need to do something that's much simpler and much easier. And she said that she had overheard Neville talking to another person or something, an artist, who had said that they focused on the feeling, like the state, right? The overall state. And the way that they did it was saying to themselves, isn't it wonderful, right? You might have heard this in different law of assumption with teachers. But he or she, I don't know if the artist was a male or female, kept saying to themselves, isn't it wonderful that my business is so successful? Isn't it wonderful that people are buying my art? And just kept saying that, isn't it wonderful? As you feel into that, that naturally becomes like a good overall state. It's like a state of being in the end. It's a state of feeling relaxed. It's a state of focusing on exactly what you want without going into details, without stressing yourself about it. You're living in the overall state. So this woman decided to do it for herself. She did it for 2 months, going to sleep at night, just imagining, like saying to herself, isn't it wonderful? Like, isn't it wonderful it's all sorted out? Isn't it wonderful that everything's come to me? Like, everything is happening for me right now. And she's focused on it happening right now rather than like it's coming, it will be here soon. She was just putting herself in that state and feeling the corresponding feelings and moving into that attitude where it was all happening now. And for me, that feels like satisfaction. It's like a satisfaction that it's all done, it's all happening now. And she did that for 2 months. And then randomly one day, she was out walking and bumped into someone that she had known 25 years ago in a different city that she used to live in. It was a man. And they had like a simple exchange. And then he left and went to New York the next day. I think she said a month later or a week later. It must have been a month later, because that would have taken a while to get her. Some other person who was a mutual friend of both her and that guy shows up at her doorstep with a check for $2,500 from that guy that she saw a month ago. And he said, like, he wanted you to have this, enjoy. And so I think $2,500 must have been quite a lot of money back then, because now it's not that much, but back then I imagine it would have been very nice. And so she started receiving monthly checks from this guy who she found out had become really, really wealthy. And it was she was able to get new clothes, buy a new car, live in a really nice apartment, have savings. Being a 55-year-old woman, a single woman back then, that's pretty amazing to be able to manifest that kind of security. And then what happened is that I think a year later or a little bit later after that, she received like a letter from his attorney saying that she will have monthly payments for the rest of her life, right? She didn't have to work again. She just met someone, saw her old friend, and he decided to give her money every single month. How crazy is that? That again shows that you don't have to just manifest it through your business if you don't want to. I think it can be easy to get locked into that way of seeing how money can come to you, right? But there's so many avenues, so many ways, of course through your business, but of course through many other ways. It's just up to you to decide how you want to receive this money. Whether you want to be open to it coming from everywhere and anywhere, or just through your business, or through a couple of sources. It's totally up to you and what you want to experience, right? Because it's your reality, you're the creator, you get to decide how it all goes. Okay guys, see you later, have a beautiful day, I'll catch you later.